We'll go ahead and get started here. Before I turn it over to Jessica, I just got a few housekeeping items to go over. We do have a fair amount of folks registered for this webinar. So if you can keep your microphones on mute, if you're not asking questions, that would be wonderful. Just so we don't have any background noise as Jessica's presenting, that would be wonderful. You may or may not turn on your cameras. That's completely optional, 100% up to you. If you do have questions, feel free to put those into the chat, but also if you'd rather ask them in person, you can go ahead and unmute yourself as needed. And there is one button on your screen that I'd like you all to avoid hitting. It's Present Now screen. It's a little box with an up arrow. Please do not hit that button, as that will interrupt Jessica's presentation for everybody. If anyone does have any technical difficulties that they can't figure out, feel free to put those into the chat feature as well, and I'll do my best to help you through those. Just be aware that most of the time the technical issues stem from your own Wi-Fi connections, so there's only so much I may be able to help with. If anyone is dialed in via telephone today, please send me an email at mfrey@pgahq.com. That way we can make sure you get your PDR credits for the webinar. And finally, we are recording this session. So if you ever want to refer back to it in the future, it will be up on our YouTube channel within a week. So with that, let me turn it over to Jessica. I'll give her a brief introduction. Jessica has been a Class A PGA professional since 2016 and is a graduate of Coastal Carolina's PGA Golf Management University program, where she earned a bachelor's degree in marketing. In 2020, she became a certified personal fitness trainer, as well as TPI Level 1 certified. She began implementing golf fitness programs at her facility shortly after and has been running a successful golf program for the last year and a half. She is out of Greengrass currently, training under a tour expert, Chris Noss, and she is training youth athletes, retired golfers, and aspiring tour players to elevate their game through fitness. So with that, I'll turn it over to Miss Jessica. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I'm excited to be here. Really cool opportunity for me. And like I was telling Matt earlier, my husband's from Reading, PA, which I thought was just a square on a Monopoly board. I didn't think it was an actual place. So I know this is kind of like home territory for me. So go Birds. So I'm sure I have a lot more attention now. But anyway, so like Matt was saying, so just kind of a little bit of background. Obviously, I went through the PGM program, and when I was in high school, I didn't really know that existed. I'm sure a lot of people didn't, with only like 20 schools in the country having the program at the time, back in 2011. There wasn't many options. So I decided to go to Coastal Carolina, and I thought that, golf capital of the world was the best place to be. I don't visit Myrtle Beach anymore unless totally have to. So I guess I got the time when I was in college. So I was in golf right after I graduated. I went and worked in Chicago. So I was at Olympia Fields, and I was kind of doing both merchandising and being an assistant. So, and we know how you guys being up north, it's pretty seasonal, right? So the moving back and forth, north to south, gets pretty tiring pretty quickly. So I ended up South Florida, was there for a few years, and then I got an opportunity to come up to South Carolina, where we are now, to be the tournament director at Belfair. And I was there for like a year and a half, and that was right around when COVID started to really kind of put a damper on golf in general, because for us it was considered essential. So people really like ramped up their golf, and I know it's totally different. Like up where you guys are, it was completely shut down for, I don't know, Matt, how long it was, but a significant amount of time. So you guys kind of were figuring things out and how to manage and maintain, a job, one, but also like keep, the membership enticed in whatever you were doing, a communicate or whatever, but we never stopped. So they were always face to face the whole time. And so that's what kind of pushed me. This is going to sound really bad. I love golf, but pushed me out of golf and towards something I knew that I had a passion for, and that was fitness. So I completely left golf and went the fitness route. And that was like box gym, personal training, like online clients, group classes. And after a few months of that, I thought to myself that there's got to be a way to combine what I spent, 10 years of my life doing and what I love to do now. And so that's how I ended up at Sea Pines Country Club, which is associated. It's part of Sea Pines Resort, like with Harbor Town and such, but it's the private club there. And the director of golf was actually my boss at Belfair. So he moved to Sea Pines and contacted me and said, hey, is there a way that we can make this work for both of us? And so I kind of said, yeah, I'd love to start a golf fitness program at the club. I want to get my TPI certification as like my education credits and allowance and put it towards that. And so we kind of worked out a deal where I was able to do both. Which is really neat. So I know a lot of places don't have a PGA golf professional who's also personal trainer, who's also TPI. So I knew that I had something pretty special that people would want, which was really neat. So I don't know, just quickly, how many of you guys are TPI? You can just kind of pop in, just say me, or if I'm not dealing with any TPIers. Oh, you can raise a hand. What? Okay, cool. All right, so a few of you. So now with that TPI, do you currently do anything at your facility with that? You can just quick yes, no, move on. It's hard to tell. Okay, anyway, so there for a year and a half. And so I started implementing like a golf fitness class that was twice a week, and it's like endurance, mobility, flexibility, strength, all of the things, like the 4 pillars that they kind of call for strength in golf. And then also just a like mobility flow class that would be early mornings, kind of before they teed off. So offered 2 different types of programs to people, and it really picked up and took off and super exciting. But I knew I kind of wanted to get out of green grass because it was golf and like running tournaments was pulling me and my time away from the fitness side. So that's when Coach Chris Noss and Christina, who own Peak Performance on the island, contacted me about just training golf fitness full time. And for like, I don't know, like 6 or 8 months, I'm like, no, I can't. No, I can't. I'm overcommitted. Golf business, we don't have much free time. So after finally saying no like 5 times, I said, you know what? I have to do this. This is an opportunity. Really well-known coaches, really what I want to be doing ultimately. So in December, I quit green grass golf, and now a month into just full-time golf fitness training, and I absolutely love it. And I love that it's almost Friday because it's a weekend. So yes, I'm rubbing it in. All right, so that's just a lot about my background, but that's kind of how I got to where I am now, 10 years later of being in golf, right? So today I kind of want to talk about trends in the game of golf, and how like fitness specific trends in golf, fitness in general today, golf fitness and TPI specifically, and then kind of how to implement golf fitness into what you do. Maybe not necessarily at your facility if you're not able to, but kind of for yourself or the people that you teach or whatever. So there's a ton of resources, and I'll share those with you guys too. So just trends in the game in general. So I think it all started with those initial movers in golf. Like the first person that comes to mind is Tiger, right? So when Tiger started, like really talking about how fitness elevated his performance, and really like he credits a lot of his success to his training outside of golf. But he was also equally criticized for that. So people really look to like blame fitness and his working out for his injuries. So there's that clash and that disconnect in the media and kind of around fitness and golf that we're starting to break through, but it's really slow moving. So obviously Tiger's kind of the first one to do that and really make it part of, you know, his success. And then of course you've got all the young guys, the strong guys, right? So you have Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, who did it a little bit differently, but still doing it. Dustin Johnson, Jon Rahm. I mean, the list just goes on. So it really didn't become like totally known or accepted until honestly, like maybe in the last like 6 to 8 years, roughly, I would say, when that shift happened to where people were accepting of fitness as a way to improve their golf game. And like I said, it started with those people, like those initial movers in golf, and Tiger and all of his, you know, his things aside, I think that we all can respect that he's a little older, but he is in great shape. You know, when he was in his prime, those things, that's what separated him, was that he was strong and was kind of able to keep up and kind of work around his injuries for quite a long time before it got to a point where he had to kind of step back and stop. So with that, so in 2016, TPI published an article talking, the title is How Golf Fitness is Achieving Mainstream Acceptance. So they kind of talk about how the shift to golfers are just golfers, like Happy says, like in goofy pants, right, into golfers are athletes. And they say, and this is a quote, they say, golf has a strange relationship, almost a borderline phobia with fitness in the media. There's a disconnect that we don't see with any other mainstream sports. So like Tiger's example, he's talking about how fitness and working out and lifting hard and doing all these things have attributed to his success, but people are like, oh no, well, you're hurt, so we're not going to condone this and be, you know, accepting of this part of golf. And like it's normal for, you know, NFL players to be big and jacked and strong and lift whatever 600 pounds and do all these things. But golfers, if you say, oh, I play golf and you're deadlifting, people look at you like, well, you're obviously going to get hurt. That's not smart. So the article is really interesting and it's very long, but I can happy to share the link with you guys after if you want. Can read through it, and it talks about just kind of how they're kind of trying to bridging the gap between general fitness is not necessarily right for golf, like to improve your golf. There's a specific kind of fitness that people need, and people actually need to be like educated on to actually get better. So it's not just general lifting, go into the gym with no plan, try to lift as heavy as possible and think that you're going to hit the ball 20 yards further. Because we know it doesn't happen like that, right? And so obviously a lot of factors play into those things. But it's pretty interesting. So, and then like I mentioned earlier, Bryson DeChambeau kind of pushed the limits in the media of, you know, this misconception that all he's doing is bulking. He's just bulking. And he actually talked about, you know, what he eats in a day, and it's like 14 protein shakes and all this stuff. And like, that might work for maybe 1% of the population, but for how many people play golf and like the broad spectrum of players that we get and we come across, that's not going to work for everybody. But so what he did, he kind of shook it up a little bit and made people think like, all right, well, maybe he's onto something here with, you know, his distance and his strength and all of these things. So there, within this article, they mention a study, and it was done in Spain at like a medical fitness institution, and they took 10 male golfers, all similar in age, all 5 handicap or less. Okay, so pretty comparable skill level, age, demographic, all of these things. And they split them into 2 groups. And they took over, it was an 18-week period of time. So they took the control group and they just put them through like a standard conditioning program. It was like 5 days a week of, resistance training and whatever. And then they took the treatment group and they scripted a routine with equal focus on maximum strength, explosive strength with like plyometrics, and then also golf specific movements along with like kind of like swing drills and things like that. But it was still 5 days a week, and they let both groups over that period of time play golf if they wanted to on weekends or off days or whatever. And so what they found was that they evaluated them 5 times, both groups. Couple of factors here. These might be another language to you guys, but body mass, body fat percentage, their jumping ability, grip strength, maximum strength, ball speed, and then club head speed. And the control group, who were just going through like your basic, I'll say Instagram workout routine, they, after 6 weeks, their average ball speed was 131. And at the end of the 18 weeks, it was right about 131 as well. So they really hadn't improved much over that period of time. The treatment group at 6 weeks was at 140 miles per hour. And after the 18 weeks, they were at 152 miles per hour. And so they're telling you that through like self-directed workouts and overtraining the wrong muscle groups, that's why people don't improve. So structure is the key word. That's the key takeaway from all of this, is that there's structure around a golf fitness program to help the golfers improve. And so that's why TPI has been so successful, because that's what they do. I'll talk about TPI a little bit later, so I'll come back to that and kind of go through their philosophy and process and all of that. But so they also said that, this is a quote, "People who attempt to increase club head speed make the mistake of doing exercises with a speed component." So they're like, oh, I'll just swing this really, really fast, or I'll pull this cable really fast, and surely I'll get stronger and faster. And they said, if you don't have balance, or if your muscles can't go through the full and normal range of motion, you're not going to be able to swing fast. So they're saying that focus on just speed kind of needs to be dialed back, and really focus on stability and being able to be symmetrical and have, not have those imbalances from left to right side, and really address the whole body, not just, the things that people think are going to make them swing faster or hit it further. And they say men specifically focus on strength, and that's all they do. They overtrain, they focus on strength, and they are the least flexible. And this is from experience. I've dealt with a lot of people and assessed a lot of people, and I can get a 3 handicap who can't rotate his hips, can't disassociate his hips from his torso at all. And I'm like, how the hell do you hit the ball? And how do you do it that well? So men tend to focus on strength instead of mobility and flexibility. Whereas women, we're a little bit typically more flexible, also a little bit more stable, not necessarily all the time, but we don't focus on strength, right? And so that's another misconception just in fitness in general, is like, as women, I don't want to lift heavy weights. I'm going to look manly. I'm going to look like a bodybuilder. It's like, you're not going to do an hour workout and look like a bodybuilder. It's just not going to happen. So really interesting article, really goes into, it actually kind of lays out like what routines they put both groups through. If that's something that interests you, it's kind of a good resource, a general idea of, what they mean when they say like a structured routine. So kind of moving on date-wise, now we're 2022. We've kind of addressed how and when it became socially acceptable to work out and play golf and say that, I'm an athlete. Golf Digest in 2022 did a study with Whoop, which I don't wear one. I know it's that monitor. You can just wear it on your wrist. It monitors a lot of things like performance, recovery, sleep, heart rate. It's really too much information that nobody knows what to do with. But anyway, they did the study on golf as an activity, because in their list of things, if you click your little watch, it tells you, okay, what am I doing? And you hit golf. They said it's the 7th most popular activity ahead of spin and yoga, which I found pretty interesting, because I guess they studied not just like playing golf. It was, they presume it was practice sessions and things in between. So they classified the golf, the data they collected was from golfers all in a similar age range to tour professionals, so 20 to 45 years old. And it was over 4 months, and they had to play at least 8 rounds of golf, but no more than like 32 was kind of their range of what they wanted to study. And then the average time spent was 2 hours and 22 minutes. So they figure that's a combination, like I said, of range and golf, and hopefully that includes 18 holes, because if it's 9 holes, we all know that pace of play problem, that's pretty terrible. So they, just a couple of numbers I'll throw at you, probably go right over the head if you don't care about it, but during that 2 hour and 22 minute time frame, the average heart rate of those golfers was 119. And so just for reference, like resting for an athlete is typically, depending on age, if we're talking 20 to 45 years old, it's usually, you want it to be about between 50 and 65, maybe 70 for resting. So that's pretty active. And so they compared it to walking. So the average heart rate for walking was 113 beats per minute. So 119 to 113, they're like, okay, this is pretty much the exertion of walking. And then they said that their maximum heart rate over that period of time was 156 beats per minute, which, if you know how to calculate your maximum heart rate, it's 220 minus your age. So that's pretty high. I can do a lot of things, and my heart rate gets pretty up there. And then walking, their max heart rate they studied was 148 beats per minute. So just to kind of tie it together, they're saying that if walking is exercise and walking is a sport, let's say, and that's physically demanding, they studied that and proved that golf is actually a little bit more beneficial and has the same like output. So, and they even talked like calories burned in that period of time was 770. And I'm like, I don't think I burned that many calories playing golf unless I'm running. But that was pretty interesting. So they saw that the commonality was that high level golfers have a super low heart rate when they're in competition. So when you think about like what you have to do when you're in like that competitive setting, and everybody's like, okay, take a deep breath, try and calm the heart rate, and the adrenaline tries to kind of take over. But the super competitive and high level players have the ability to completely calm that down to like near resting heart rate, which is pretty impressive. So they say, like shooting a weapon or hitting a golf shot, it's kind of essential to performing. So there's a huge neuromuscular and neurological component when we talk about golf as a sport and how to kind of excel. And a couple of really good resources, something I found recently was a podcast by Mark Immelman. It's called On the Mark. Really interesting. And the one episode that I just actually listened to yesterday was about kind of controlling the mind-body connection and understanding how your heart rate plays a factor in your performance and what you're doing. And the episode is with Dr. Hunter Champion. He's a cardiologist. And like I said, it's about that mind-body connection. So if that's something you're interested in learning about, it's like less than an hour long. I can also kind of send that over. It's called On the Mark. And it was one of the most recent episodes. So pretty cool to listen to. I have a lot of resources like that. I like to always be learning and educating and kind of hearing different perspectives. And maybe it usually turns into a book that I end up reading because they recommend, this, that, and the other. And I have a few of those too, happy to share. But really it's the shift that we're seeing over the last, like I said, so let's say 2016, when this kind of came about and people really, like those guys, Justin Thomas and everybody I talked about, they really brought it to the attention of the forefront of what they're doing to swing faster, to hit it further, to do all of these things and be successful. And there's, it's not a coincidence that these are the names of the guys that are on top year after year and tournament after tournament. So people are kind of catching on a little slower than I think they would like to. It's like, oh, I'm late to the party. It's like, yeah, you're about 7 years late, which for me, I when I train kids, I see this. I'm like, if I had done this when I was a junior golfer, I'd be on tour today. I mean, probably not, but you get what I'm saying. Like, put in perspective, when you play junior golf or even high school, or I play Illinois, so IJGA, like things like that. Fitness, they were like, okay, run to the driving range and run to the putting green. That was all we had to do. So it really wasn't a component of golf. And now, like, one of my clients, it's a boys golf academy, and I mean, these kids are serious golfers, and I train them twice a week, and that's part of their practice and part of their what they do. And it's incredible to see, even just like the ability that the kids have. Like, if I tell a 60-year-old to do a lunge, they've been on the planet a lot longer than this 14-year-old, and this 14-year-old can do it perfectly. So just having like the body awareness that comes from, training and doing physical things as a youth golfer, I think is super important to the like success and longevity of their game, truly. So kind of just briefly talk about fitness today. I'm sure a lot of people, it's February, so New Year's resolutions they're done with. People have kind of tossed them to the side, but the one that never fails is I want to eat healthier and I want to exercise. It's like, okay, cool. What do you do? How do you start? Right? So there's so much information and so many resources. Like on Instagram, I said it earlier, for example, people will just log in and say, oh, okay, I like how this person looks. I'm going to do this, and that. And that's what they eat. So I'm going to eat that. And it's like imposter syndrome, right? So like I said, what works for me doesn't work for Bob or Joe or any of these other people. And just like when you're teaching golf too, right? It's hard to put people into a mold. Everybody has their own philosophy in teaching, and personally, every body is different. So I'm not gonna train or suggest or recommend the same thing for everybody that walks through the door. And that's honestly my pet peeve, even in golf, and then on the fitness side, a trainer, where I know exactly what that client is going to do next because I've seen them do it with 12 other clients. I can't stand it. So there's unlimited resources nowadays, basically, in fitness. And it's, we shift from, oh, let's be really skinny and this will be great. And then it's like, no, now everybody is powerlifting and throwing things over their head really quickly. And it's overwhelming. And for people that aren't even in the golf business, any sport industry at all, like, okay, you have to be careful what you kind of choose to move forward with. And so really that's kind of just the fitness industry. That's kind of what it's doing, right? It's kind of tailoring you where you want them to go and where the most money is going to be made, and not really, like, the education is lacking, I think, for people who want to kind of, let's say you're a golf professional and you're like, okay, I'm really interested in fitness. It's like, yes, TPI is great and it's great for golf, but honestly, I have more of kind of my routines and what I do with people and my assessments and things from my personal training certification through a sports medicine academy, through that. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of educate yourself and give yourself and the people that you help the best information without just throwing a bunch of stuff at them and say good luck. So the biggest thing that I agree with in the fitness space is the focus now on sport-specific performance programs. So golf aside, so I train jiu-jitsu. explosive power, strength, lower body strength, mobility, all of these things we all have in common with every other sport that you train for, right? But it's how do you create that routine that is most beneficial? So like how much emphasis do you put on maximal strength for tennis versus golf? How much, mobility is required for jujitsu versus golf? Like these things, there's still commonalities. So it's really cool to kind of study and pick people's brains on about the differences in, a football conditioning program versus like one of my clients is a college lacrosse player. So how do I train him compared to how I train this high school golfer? So just really cool time, I think, to make this transition and shift to golf specific or sports specific performance and fitness, and kind of take that path. It's kind of like a niche. And TPI does offer, once you go through TPI level 1, you can kind of branch out and go, you can go fitness, or you can go golf, or, whatever direction you want, or you can go, I think they have junior now too. So you can elevate your education, but again, it's still very specific. So I would recommend, I'm not saying everybody go become a personal trainer if you have no interest in doing that, but at least finding good sources to kind of educate yourself on like all areas of fitness, and then kind of piece together and use what, you're comfortable using. Definitely within your scope of practice. I don't recommend throwing somebody under a barbell and telling them to squat before they head out to the range. But if you have access to a fitness professional that you trust, or at your facility, if you are that person, then you're definitely within that scope to tell them and encourage them to do that. So now we'll go really into TPI. So for those of you that know, TPI is Titleist Performance Institute, and it is Titleist's branch of fitness and how the body relates to the golf swing, basically. So they started in 2003, so about 20 years now they've been doing this. And before I got into my career in golf business after I graduated college, I really didn't know what TPI was. Again, I think that my generation didn't have like fitness as part of, what we did. So we really didn't know anything about it. And it really wasn't that common to have a TPI professional or TPI anything, fitness, golf, anything at any of the places I was, or, incorporate that into your lessons. So really neat to see how that's grown. And then of course, taken over, the PGA and the LPGA tour and those players. So like I said, they study the relationship between the body and the swing, and then they're going to determine how someone's limitations would influence a golf swing. So TPI level 1, you can be a medical professional, you can be a golf professional or a fitness professional, and then get this certification, go through the process and get the certification. And so the idea that they kind of wanted to create was this network of like a team of professionals in those 3 areas that can help you. So I'm not a physical therapist, so I can't tell you after you've had knee surgery, here's the exercises you need to do to rehab, but my medical professional in that network can. And similarly, they can say, okay, once you're cleared, now you can move and work with this golf professional on your swing and have your fitness professional to train you in the gym. So they really wanted to build a network for people that was easy to access. It's all app-based. I can't speak to what it was in 2003, but now it's app-based, super easy to use. The videos, the library of exercise demonstrations, you could build a whole workout routine for somebody and it's on their phone immediately. And it's very self-led. So you don't even have to really do anything other than put it together and send it to them. And if you're really lazy, TPI will put it together for you and send it to them. So just really depends of that level of, personal touch you want to give to people. Like I said, you can be the person that puts everybody in the same mold. But you will see them, prescribe similar exercises based on some certain limitations. But I kind of like to tailor it to that person that I know that he's had 2 hip surgeries and 4 knees done. So he maybe can't do what this TPI thinks, that he can do. So they don't ask anything about like limitations like that. So that's something I definitely factor in when I do TPI screen, when I do an assessment on somebody. The TPI assessment, level 1 TPI assessment, it's 15 different movement patterns, pretty much mobility, flexibility related. So you're kind of putting them through, shoulder mobility, hip mobility, internal, external rotation, all these things to determine what their body is mostly unable to do. It's really the areas they focus on is what do you fail? So that's what we're going to work on. What you're not able to do, and then what that might translate to in your golf swing. So really easy. Me being both a golf professional and fitness professional, I know what that means. So I can screen somebody. We can talk about their golf swing without me ever seeing them swing a golf club. I know that they're not able to do this. And if we went on the range, I know why they're not able to do that. So some golf professionals that don't really understand even like the body and how it works and, why somebody might be limited or can't, they're like, just get through it, but they physically can't do it. It's frustrating for you, just as frustrating it is for them. So I definitely was able to, like, through TPI and having all that training and education, really become a better teacher. Not that I love teaching golf, but it really helped me improve, as well as like helped the people I was teaching improve a lot faster, because I was able to get them to understand why they can't rotate, or why they're the low right back, it hurts every time I get done golfing. It's like, well, okay, you're not rotating in a, you're kind of, your body's going to take the path of least resistance, so it doesn't hurt. And so that's something we need to address in the gym, or you need to address with 5 minutes of mobility before you play. So I'm really thankful to have gone through kind of that training and be able to use it in my golf lessons. So I would encourage, if you're not TPI already, if you really like teaching, to get that education and kind of use that to be better and to make your clients better. And if they don't want to stretch, then just tell them they're not going to hit it further. It's true. So, and in my experience, having people, giving them like 5 stretches to do within a week or 2 weeks, of course, if they do their homework, within a week or 2 weeks, their swing, without even going on the range, has improved. So it's a quick turnaround, right? It's not like you have to wait like years. It's not like you're trying to build a bunch of muscle in these people, but the mobility and flexibility, it comes quickly. So that's pretty much TPI. And they talk about, really focuses on the most efficient way to swing the golf club based on the order, the sequence of, like, the kinematic sequence, how your body moves. So how your hips, how your torso, how your arms, and how the club move, and then how they accelerate, and just all that. It's like very nerdy, but it's super interesting if you have any interest in the body at all, or, like I said, getting better about understanding, golf swings and why people can't do certain things that they really want to do. So of course, you guys know TPI athletes. John Rahm is really big. Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, all those guys down there. I say down there because I reference Joey D's training center down in Jupiter, which, when we were living in South Florida, I found out about Joey D, and he's on tour with, 25, 30 guys. And I was like, I want that guy's job. And this is 6-7 years ago. I said this, and I said, that'd be really cool to be doing that. That's like a dream. So we move up here, and Chris Noss came from Joey D's center down in Jupiter. So him being up here and then them contacting me, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm in. So that kind of sparked that interest for me. If you guys are not familiar, Joey D He's a really good program going down there. He does a lot of TPI, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of layers kind of in his approach. And obviously it works, right? Some of the most winning guys on tour. He's got DJ Brooks, Vijay Singh, Cameron Tringale, all those guys working and showing that it works. So, and then there's a TPI side. That's something where you can go and you can get the education, take the test, go through the process, become certified. Of course, there's personal training certifications, which there's a lot of different, academies that you can get that education with too. But then there's a really great resource that I just recently partnered with, and it's Golf WOD. So Golf WOD, kind of if you're familiar with CrossFit, which they're the ones that throw the things over their head really quickly. I will never be a CrossFitter, but good on them for doing it. But he's in the UK, and he used to do CrossFit, and he was trying to figure out how strength training and cross training could benefit his golf game. And so he started kind of experimenting with the things that I talked about earlier, the structured program of combining maximal strength and plyometric training and explosive training, and how that would help him increase club head speed. So what everybody wants, you hit it further, you're hitting a shorter iron into the green. Ideally, perfect world, you're gonna score lower, right? So he created it's a platform, I guess, an app, a training program, if you will, called Golf WOD, and it's structured how CrossFit workouts are structured. So there's a mobility and a warm-up portion, and then and it's all golf specific. And then there's a strength portion, and then there's a maximal exertion portion, and there's an endurance and a cardio portion, and then at the end, there's something that you have to do for time, basically. So they're all structured this way. But what he does is he offers 15 different levels and programs based on either of the following: of your goal, of your input, what you're willing to give, if it's 2 days a week, if it's 4 days a week, if you're looking for distance off the tee, if you're looking for power, if you're looking for stability, if you're looking for a hybrid, if you want to break 80, he has a program. If you want to break 90, he has a program. If you want to gain 10 miles an hour, he has a program, a women's and over 50, and all of these different programs that are structured just like TPI talked about back in 2016, when the study was done in 2012. So we're talking 10, 11 years ago, these people cracked the code, and just now people are kind of putting that together and offering it to people. So I've partnered with him. I incorporate Golf WOD training with my juniors. And like I said, I teach a boys golf academy. I teach a few high school girls, a couple college golfers, and these are the programs that I follow. So for me, being partnered with them, I have the ability to kind of I have the rights to the programs to use them for other people. So obviously, ethically, if you purchase the programs, the idea is that it's for you and the people that you train. I wouldn't just go out there and start your own gym or whatever using this guy's stuff. But the kids, it's fun because you can kind of beat them up a little bit in a good way. They work hard, and as long as they're performing movements properly first is kind of the first thing I look at before I just will throw a bunch of weight on them. Obviously, injury prevention is super important when we're talking about fitness and golf in general. That's why we play the game, because we can play it forever. So don't really want to get hurt. But the kids are fun. You can make them jump, you can make them lift heavy things, and they love it. So it's a really neat resource that I have access to, that I use. And I plan to down the road kind of, I would have the ability to open a Golf WOD training facility, or I can kind of go a lot of different directions. just because I have all of these different areas and certifications, and I guess I got a lot of baskets in front of me. So I'm not just a golf professional, but I can, I can help elevate people's games and just honestly improve their quality of life too, through fitness, and then through golf specific fitness. I think is a really untapped market. I think that with the growth that it has seen in the last 6 to 8 years, and then to where it's going, is a really cool thing. And to see the kids developing the way that they are. And then I have clients who are 80 and want to hit the ball further. So here we are, we're trying to get them to hit the ball further. And it's having the knowledge of like, okay, I know that Joe, because he's 80 years old, he can't pick that medicine ball up and throw it, but we can progress towards that. And then the day that he does that, it's pretty cool to see and hear the feedback after he goes and plays or goes and hits balls, that he's like, wow, I really feel like I'm able to do what you were telling me to do. And it's just kind of translating over quickly. So people are like, well, why did you leave the golf business? Or ask me this all the time. And I say, because I really, it wasn't fulfilling in the sense that like, I can run a tournament, it's great, but that doesn't like warm my heart. Just like when I get a text from a junior who careered it because, they've been training with me for XYZ. So just a different feel and just happiness level that I get out of this side of the golf business. I still kind of technically think it's the golf business. It's just a more physical and definitely like personal avenue or approach to it. So finally, I guess if you're wondering how to kind of incorporate golf fitness at your facility, if it doesn't exist, obviously within scope of practice, you have to be certified in one way or another to actually teach something fitness related. If you want to even, have a class, like I said, like a mobility class or a strength golf, whatever kind of class. So that's an option. If your facility even has a fitness center is a big thing too. Like where we are on the island, we're kind of around a few high-end clubs that don't have a fitness facility, and it blows my mind. It's good because they're our clients, and so that's business for us. But to not have a fitness facility at your club is like, that's a problem in itself. But just encourage your clients to, spend time in there. And if you have that TPI knowledge, be like, okay, kind of walk me through what your routine is like. Guaranteed they're using all of the assisted machines, right? So that requires 0 core strength, which is pretty much at the foundation of your golf swing, right? Your core and your legs have to be strong. You have to have a strong base, and you have to, like I said earlier, you have to be balanced and stable. And so just making them aware of what fitness can do to their golf game, I think is going to get you a lot more lessons if that's what you're looking for, because it's going to blow their mind how easy doing 10 minutes of hip stretches or thoracic rotations or something is going to translate to their golf swing. So you're getting a little bit of input for great output by kind of helping them and guiding them through that. So if you're trained and certified in that, go for it, like full send, give them a routine, kind of break it down for them. And if you're not, find a way to educate yourself to where you can do that. And then of course, and be that person, be that I'm a golf professional, I'm a fitness professional. Like, you'll always have a job. People always want that. So that's something to kind of strive for if you have a passion for that and see the value in that, because that's where I see the golf business going, is they want somebody who does have that background and that knowledge, and can elevate, the membership, and to give, everybody wants value. So give them that added value of you and what you can provide. And then just try and implement it into your golf lessons. So easy. You can tell them to stretch, but if you don't know yourself what to do, have to find what it is that is going to work for this person, and it's not going to work for everybody. So that's kind of I could keep going. Golf fitness is great, but we're almost out of time. But I definitely am thankful for the path that, led me to this point. It's, 10 years of being in green grass and being behind the counter and being, running events and teaching and kind of trying to find that thing that really, like, one, separates me from other professionals in the space, but also, like, I genuinely love doing, and that I have a passion for. And that comes across to the people that you work with. So if you're that person or that coach that kind of puts people into that box, and your day of lessons, you're giving the same lesson to every single person, maybe just kind of reconsider, like, is that person truly getting my best? Are they getting, like, the value that I can provide? And how can I make that better for them? Because ultimately that's going to make you a better coach. And then they're just going to, they're going to rave about it. And just, you're going to improve what they want to improve on, and not just give them the same lesson over and over again. So that's kind of all I have. So if you guys have any questions or anything, any comments, let me know. But Matt, is that kind of...
Yeah, actually, I had a question. So I know you're involved a little bit with martial arts, and I was curious, since you've been involved, has that altered your fitness program or any of your student fitness programs because of exercises or techniques you learned from that sport?
Yeah, so I don't train golf specific for myself, only because I don't really compete in golf anymore. I play recreationally. I love the game, but I compete in jiu-jitsu. So my training is definitely more focused towards that. And then clients who also train that, I definitely, like I said, I have, programs built for movements like that, and for strengthening, your hips and your lower body in jiu-jitsu, like that explosiveness off the ground. There's a lot of different similar exercises, different kind of different modifications to them. So like your tempo changes, and like the intensity changes. So it's definitely different depending on kind of what the goal is at the time. So if that kind of answers, it changes based on kind of what season I'm in. If I'm competing in jiu-jitsu, it's focused on that. If I'm trying to play in, like, the Carolina Women's Open, it shifts. So, but I have the right resources to pull from and to know, like, what I need to be doing. So
right. Now that makes complete sense, and that kind of feeds into my next question: is how do you start building a student's routine or practice or fitness plan when they're a completely new student? So I walk in off the street, get a package with you. How do you start that process?
So are you looking for golf fitness training?
Yeah.
Okay. So first session, I will put you through the TPI assessment. Always have to assess where they're at, right? You can tell me, back in my day, I was this, and I'm this flexible and this and that. And if I take your word for it, I'm a bad trainer. So, because then I'm like, all right, perfect. Let's throw 45 on the squat bar, and then you hurt yourself. So then that's on me. So I'll put you through an assessment and evaluate, kind of get a starting point. And then based on that, really what you're looking for. If you're saying, I really need to, I want to be more flexible, and I want to hit the ball further, and I just want to be stronger. In my head, I'm already like, okay, perfect. So we're always going to incorporate some mobility and, like, a dynamic warm up, which means, like, we're moving through stretches, right? Because we're never just, like, stationary, really. So there's always something moving in the golf swing. So going to warm up that way. Then we're going to spend some time stabilizing. So we'll work on whether it's, you know, a lower body day, we'll work on like lower body stabilization. So I'll work on, you know, single leg movements and really trying to see where those imbalances are, because the TPI assessment gives me a couple ideas of where your imbalances are. But as soon as I have you do like a single leg something, I can see it, right? So we'll work on that, and then we'll work on some sort of power, and then kind of bring it back down. So I definitely, and I structure in general, if I will structure it in like a 12 to 16 week period, to where every 4 weeks roughly, we're doing the same routine for 4 weeks, because that's the only way to really tell if you're progressing or not. If I switch what you're doing every single day, I have no idea if you're if you're getting better or not, you know, or if you're just better at that movement than this movement. And then we'll kind of shift focus, and, you know, if we need to spend 4 weeks on just mobility, then that's where we are. So it's just individual. The assessment gives me a really good baseline, but I don't fully just rely on it to tell me what to do. Kind of just really depends on you and, you know, your goal. So.
Perfect. Does anyone else have any more questions? If you do, feel free to unmute yourself.
No.
Going once, going twice.
Good.
Okay, well, I'll be sure to share Jessica's contact information, her email, after this webinar. Should you have any questions pop up and you want to pick her brain. But Jessica, thank you very much for spending your morning with us. I thought that was really educational, and hopefully a lot of our teachers who are on today can start implementing some more fitness into their program. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I hope you guys get a little bit something out of that, whatever that might be. But I definitely encourage you all to, education is, you know, it's wealth. It really is. And that helping people is pretty cool. What we do in this space in general is pretty rewarding. So if you can just add a little bit more to that, and I mean, it's a win-win. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Right.
Thank you.
We'll see everyone soon.